All right, let's wrap up this baby, the report on AI for governments on climate action or something like this, you remember. So this is important part, international collaborations. And what are the recommendations? Support knowledge sharing on policy design, implementation and evaluation between governments, industries and key stakeholders in different countries. So if there are agricultural sectors in each country, mostly there are in every country, uh, but they have different scales and different controls on the governments themselves, because some farm lobbies can be very, very powerful and they can demand a lot of things from the government. And then how can governments make sure that they are all reducing their impact on emissions and climate change, water pollution, air pollution, and so on. So is there a way that governments can work across the same sector? uh, Governments can work on the same sector across countries, right? So same for cement industries, producers of autos, and how do you set standards? So let's say China is building a lot of EVs and it's doing very well and wants to export EVs to Europe and US, but they are getting so popular that both EU and US have put restrictions on importing EVs from China. So everybody is talking about climate action, especially in the European Union, but when it comes to allowing climate-friendly solutions, they are still prioritizing protecting their own economies and their own industries as opposed to climate action that will be helpful for the whole government. So now you take that to AI, and AI is going to be deployed, let's say, to help climate action, but you will have similar issues. So while some AI for climate solutions need to be developed at a national level, such as energy markets, it's important for governments and industry to share relevant knowledge and best practices about how to apply AI to support decarbonization of energy systems. Will the governments share such information if it is seen as economically advantageous? So this knowledge sharing often needs to be supported at a range of levels, including the design of R&D support needed to accelerate the responsible development of applications to the policies and incentive structures needed to support their development to standards and best practices for project implementation and evaluation. GPAI could usefully work with a range of climate initiatives, including Mission Innovation, Mission Possible Partnership, and Climate Technology Center and Network to support knowledge sharing in this space. So some frameworks exist focused on specific issues, but they can all work across the boundaries and help support knowledge sharing at international levels. Pool limited government R&D resources. Again, economic interests tend to trump everything else. Climate action always takes a back seat when economies are threatened, like COVID came and economies suffered, and then COVID ended. Government started putting stimulus funds to revive the economies, and the stimulus funds were not bothered with climate action anymore. They just wanted to rev up the economies, right? Specifically, governments should coordinate AI for climate funding or develop cross-functional consortium institutions with in-house RD&D capacity that multiple entities within a climate-relevant sector and across the globe can benefit from. The long sentence, but here Electric Power Research Institute, EPRI, a non-profit organization that conducts RD&D projects focused on electric power sector, serves over 1,000 member organizations around the world and includes a dedicated initiative on artificial intelligence. So EPRI is non-profit, which makes it easier to trust it for many people, especially from the global south, because for-profit companies may come and sell you something as a solution for you for a developing or low-income country, and profit motives can taint your credibility. Bring together researchers and innovators to address common and cross-border AI for climate challenges. So creating processes to bring together interdisciplinary research teams and innovators to address common and cross-border AI for climate challenges would accelerate the development of such solutions. Support shared AI for climate capacity building activities seems obvious. Some of this happens, for example, World Bank funds projects of adaptation where international experts come in and help. There are other issues of being helpful but not, training people to own the project when they leave and so on. But there are examples of countries like India giving forecasts to neighboring countries, training them to use the forecasts and so on. So this now has to be applied for AI as well, right? Pool data for common or cross-border AI for climate challenges and agree on data standards internationally. So this is always critical. So governments could consider coordinating international data task forces in energy, land use, and climate science. Such task forces could usefully establish existing data availability, access standards, and sharing incentives, and seek to aggregate or facilitate discovery of data portals that may already exist. So it's kind of doing discovery to make sure what is already there and how to make them talk to each other and improve everybody together. Coordinate on the development and use of specific physical and digital assets to support the development of AI for climate solutions. So there are a range of physical and digital assets that governments could consider collaborating on, whether it is sensor networks to measure permafrost, methane release in the Arctic, or digital simulations for electricity and transport systems. And in South Asia, it's about sharing monsoon data and monsoon predictions and projections, at least decadal predictions, because their destinies are tied together by the monsoon. And if you look at the monsoon maps, often India has data and there are missing holes in Bangladesh and Nepal and Pakistan and Bhutan and Burma and so on. This is not very useful, especially when you want to use the data to improve the models with AI and make forecasts using the data as well, downscaling, for example, right? Coordinate government support for the development and maintenance of non-commercial public interest applications. Existing international initiatives with the capacity to advance AI for climate applications should be supported, and there are many international organizations such as the Climate Technology Center and Network, CDCN, that facilitate tech transfer and development for climate solutions. Other organizations focus on specific areas of capacity relevant to AI for climate, such as the Group on Earth Observations, GEO, and then now there is also Global Earth Observing System of Systems and other WMO coordinated observation networks that are, based on member countries, but they also benefit poor countries. So there is also the EU Copernicus program. Both GEO and Copernicus program are focused on remote sensing and global open data for agriculture and nutrition, GODAN. Okay, so that should be separated. GEO and EU Copernicus are focused on remote sensing, and there is also global open data for agriculture and nutrition, which serves this idea of international initiatives. These kinds of initiatives should be supported where they exist. Coming closer, GPAI could champion the development of an international responsible AI for climate partnership made up of governments, relevant international organizations, and a network of businesses and NGOs from both the climate and AI communities to support the coordination and delivery of international AI for climate work. There are a wide range of organizations that are relevant for international AI for climate work that need to be brought together to integrate AI for climate work from both AI and climate communities. I don't know if I read it twice. Creating a partnership amongst these organizations would accelerate international work at the intersection of AI and climate. Okay, so let's look at some examples of these. Tracking global greenhouse gas emissions. Climate Trace. Climate Trace uses AI to radically improve accuracy and transparency of global emissions inventories. Obviously useful. Hopefully nobody is putting up barriers. Forecasting electricity demand. UK National Grid. UK National Grid uses AI. Excuse me. Sorry, UK National Grid uses AI to double the accuracy of demand and forecasting. So these are examples of AI application for climate action type works. Predicting locust outbreaks. Kuzi. Kuzi helps farmers adapt to climate change via early warning of potentially devastating locust outbreaks. And there are many groups trying to do these, and wildfires and so on. And you can see that this is not just about AI to help governments on climate action, but these are efforts at various levels to deal with climate action, adaptation, mitigation. Designing better batteries. Aeonics. Aeonics software provides a 10 times speed up in the process of designing better batteries. Monitoring deforestation in the Amazon. MAP. MAP uses satellite imagery to provide a real-time look at where more deforestation is happening. So hopefully that helps with enforcement. But government itself has been not very careful at protecting the Amazon from deforestation. But international organizations can look it and keep telling the government you are not doing your job. Validating AI for power system optimization. RTE. RTE's competition series provides an innovative platform to validate the potential of reinforcement learning to optimize power grids in real time. Okay. Mapping floods with AI. Many such efforts exist, but the United Nations Satellite Center, UNOSAT's flood AI enables high-frequency flood reports that have improved disaster response in Asia and Africa. UN also led the Sendai framework on disaster risk reduction, I think, which has provided a nice international network to do this, but this UNOSAT must be serving Sendai framework also. Modeling urban microclimates. Infrared. Nice acronym there. Improving urban design by simulating the urban microclimate in seconds instead of hours, thanks to AI. Reducing the footprint of recycled steel. Ferrolabs. Ferrolabs uses AI to help steel manufacturers reduce the use of mined ingredients by up to 34%, preventing an estimated 450,000 tons of CO2 emissions per year. So it's using recycled or recovered iron and so on to reduce the use of freshly mined iron ores, which will also reduce energy use and so on. But you have to do a life cycle analysis to make sure of that. But still, it's important to understand that steel and carbon are very, aluminum are highly emitting sectors, and as I mentioned before, cement and steel are in great demand across the world, especially in developing economies like India and China, which are growing rapidly and building lots of buildings, building lots of roads, bridges, power stations, everything, airports and so on. So reducing emissions from steel and cement is going to be very critical to keep up with economic development and so on. Optimizing energy consumption in smart buildings. ROOP. ROOP's smart building optimization tools save 10 to 30% of the energy used in a typical commercial building, helping the trains run on time. Deutsche Bahn. AI can analyze data to detect problems early or even before they happen, helping to run the vast train infrastructure systems more reliably. The Germans like their trains to be on time, and AI will definitely help. Analyzing climate risk in financial disclosures. AI-based text processing techniques can help analyze and quantify the impacts of climate change on financial markets and individual companies. Again, this has to be made sure that this is working to help people and reduce impacts on climate and not just make more profits at the cost of everything else. Optimizing data center energy usage. DeepMind. DeepMind uses AI to increase data center cooling system efficiency by approximately 30 to 40%. There is a DeepMind by Google as well, which is also about AI. But anyway, it's always important to remember that we want to save everything, including our messages, images, our papers, books, everything. And clouds are growing super exponentially, and energy demand and water demand is growing super exponentially. So cooling system efficiency is going to be very critical for overall climate mitigation, and using AI to do that is of course going to be very helpful. Again, governments have to make sure that cloud computing and cloud services in general remain climate friendly and eventually decarbonize, because all these big corporations are planning net zero, but again, monitoring, verification and reporting is going to be critical. Governments come in there again to make sure enforcement happens. Okay, so this is the end of this report, and let's make sure we say the title properly at the end again. Did I finish it? Yes, I did. I'm always confusing myself. So this is climate change and AI recommendations for government action. Okay, so let's leave this here for now. I will find more material on AI for climate, I'm sure. It's a new hot topic, and I'll keep covering them as I find time and if I find them to be interesting and important enough. If you find something that I should look at, then please contact me as well. Okay, see you in the next topic then.